Welcome to Kermode Uncut, joined once again by Mark Cousins, who's I'm Belfast, is currently available on DVD. Mark, I wanted to talk to you about a subject which we've returned to again and again here on the blog, which is movie curation or the lack of it. Now, obviously, I think most people may have first come into contact with you through Moviedrome, in which you were introducing films on the BBC. Tell me first what the point of Moviedrome was, what it was set out to do.
Moviedrome was like a tasting menu. It's sort of, those of us who made it felt that there's a lot of mainstream stuff out there, a lot of quite conventional cinema, and we wanted to say, look, taste this other stuff, you know, that's more generic, it's more textured, it's darker in many ways. It set its nose against the kind of happy cinema in a way, although there was some happiness in there. We were interested in melodrama, excess, wildness, etc. And, you know, we were young and it was on late at night, and we wanted to put something a bit punkier into the discourse.
So there was that idea of sort of playfulness, and that idea of something which, as you said, punky.
Yeah.
What was it that you think appealed to people? Because the Moviedrome was really successful and ran for several years. People must have written to you. What did they like about it?
You know, that idea of midnight movie, the kind of thing that happened, the kind of unofficial, the illicit, the penumbral, you could say. Before cinemas put on late night movies, there was a kind of conformist, mainstream, bland, almost Eisenhower-y, 50s-y idea of what a good film was.
Yeah.
You know, good taste. Yeah. And you think, screw that. You know, there's other types of taste, there are other paradigms, there are other ways of loving something. And I think the people who made that shared a common taste in the excess, and especially when you brand it as a late night thing, a bit illicit, something to do when your mum and dad have gone to bed. It was crucial, the timing in which Moviedrome was done. It was still before the internet. It was a time when you couldn't access the Dionysian, the wild, wasn't instantly available. We felt as if we were being starved of some of that wilder cinema.
What were the films you were most proud of introducing?
Probably Bad Timing. Nick Roeg's Bad Timing. I remember saying something like, when I first saw this, I wasn't in love. I hadn't ever felt love. And Nick Roeg's Bad Timing, which is one of the darkest films about love, it was a kind of red light or a warning saying, beware those who enter here. Because love can kill or can be extremely painful. What cinema is great at doing is taking you by the hand into wild places, taking you by the hand into the underworld, as it were. And so I think that was a good one to put on.
Why do you think that strands such as Moviedrome have fallen by the way? Because I can't think of an equivalent nowadays.
You could argue that Moviedrome is more needed than ever because everything's available now. We're living in an era of plenitude. It used to be when we were young, it was hard to find films, especially if you didn't live in London or something. You relied on the BBC putting on something. Now that everything's available, you could argue on one hand that you need somebody like you or me to point somebody in that direction and say, try over there, this is really good stuff. I know it's overwhelming. I know you're not hungry anymore. There's so much pizza. You're not hungry for cinema anymore. But try this type of pizza. You know. So I would argue that in an era of plenitude, you need curation. You need Moviedromes more than ever.
See, I agree with you. But my question is still the same. Why doesn't it exist? Why is there a resistance to it?
Because the contrary is also true, that Moviedrome could look authoritarian in some ways to a young person. Why should you tell me what to watch? It's all, I can find my way, thank you very much. I can Google, I can find my own way. We weren't only saying this is good when we were doing Moviedrome, we were making it available because it wasn't otherwise available. That raison d'etre has been removed because it's probably available somewhere now anyway. So there's an argument for not doing it, which is equally strong, I think.
Do you think that sort of sense of curation also went into your 15-hour TV series, The Story of Film, in which one of the purposes of it, I think, was to make connections that people wouldn't have made and to say, well, look, you're with me here, but look, why don't you look over in this corner, because I think these things are connected.
Yeah, the story film came out of anger, frankly, Mark, as much as anything else, because I was sitting with my friends and we were talking about the same films. We were talking another conversation about The Godfather, another conversation about Star Wars or Jaws. Please, can we at some point, we're no longer in our teens, we're no longer in our 20s, we're still talking about the same stuff, you know. African cinema, Middle Eastern cinema, films directed by women. My taste was moving on. The more films that I saw from other parts of the world, Iran, for example, I just thought we need to level the playing field here and stop talking about Anglo cinema all the time. So that's why.
I'm going to ask you one last thing, which is to do with you as a presenter and as a narrator. The thing that people know about you most is you have a very distinctive voice.
I know.
I want to ask you this absolutely honestly. Is that voice something which has grown from your background or from... Where does it come from? Where does your voice come from?
It's my background. I guess there's that Irish thing that people do say that there's an amplitude to...
I think it's more than just being Irish. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's something to do with the lyricism of what... You have a lilt. And honestly, Mark... I've never heard anybody else speak like you. And
it becomes very useful when you're in a pub or in a cafe because people don't recognise me. But when I say, could I have a glass of Pinot Grigio, please?
They
say,
I love the story.
Are you Mark Cousins? It's on the house.
Mark, thank you very much. Please don't ever change that voice. It's lovely. Thanks for coming on the blog.
Pleasure, of course.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride.